Okay, so let me take you through a little guided video tour of this year's exhibition named Hope of Cultura number 6. So this is a city town hall, quite an impressive building if you look up and down, situated right in the middle of town. And I'm going to take you inside and take you in the entrance. So if we look down the road here, you see the Catholic Church at the end of the road, and turning to the other side, can't see the other church, so we have to move just a little further down here. And you can see this is a Protestant church on the other side of the road, so everything nicely placed. We go in here, there we are, this is the exhibition, and we go up the stairs past these very impressive figures placed on either side. Another one up here. And that's the letterbox of the magistrate. So this is one of Germany's oldest town halls, built in the 14th century. And here we are already faced with the first exhibit. This is from Manfred, called "Who Wants Peace Will Let Flowers Bloom." And if you take a closer look, these flowers are actually made of steel helmets, and there's more steel helmets down there. Manfred has actually written a four-stage poem that alludes to everything in there. Okay, so now we go inside. So open the door here. We go inside and take a brief look. So exhibition area on the right, exhibition area on the left, and now I'm going to walk you all the way through the individual exhibits. So starting here with text by Christiane stating hope is human, and then we'll start right here with actually some of my exhibits. This is the way out. If you take a closer look, you can see there is actually a way out. You just have to find it. The next one here is called Shimmer. This is of course alluding to the shimmer of hope, and the reason why the shimmer is very slight is that of course when the shimmer is slightest, the hope is the greatest. Continue here with a work by Andre and Anna, actually a couple that always paint their pictures together. This time they actually paint two pictures, and this is called Hopeful Comparison. And if you look very closely, you see that the leaf in either case has the same color, but depending on the background, you get a totally different impression. Turning here, this is a picture from me called My Business Partner Win-Win, and alludes to hope in the business environment where of course people are always hoping to get the best out of a situation, but there's always people on either side, so two probably can't get the best out of every situation, and this person is obviously in anticipation of what is going to come. Two pottery works here by Iris. The first one here titled Whole World, and another here titled One Will Win. This again is a work from me, an installation called, and this is very hard to translate, it actually means incredibly happy in translation, but in German German language also uses improbable as an expression of incredible. So actually the title is Improbably Happy. And what you can see is that this is actually a lottery slip inside a message in a bottle. And all of that, of course, at high sea. And this alludes to the fact that, of course, there's many people now risking their life in small boats and going over the Mediterranean in hope of something new to come. And sometimes this feels like a lottery. Some works here from Anna. Anna Rose did a whole series of works called Tender Plants, and these variations are of course inspired by her hope of actually having a grandchild. Continue around here. This is a work by Christiane, and it's called Land in Sight. Now obviously there's a sea in the front and the land behind, but what you can't see from a first impression is that the land is actually barred by barbed wire. So although land is there, it's probably not accessible. And this is the inverse, and it's simply called Water. Third work here from Christiane associates with the trials in Rwanda, where there were informal trials to try and alleviate the situation that, of course, there have been a lot of war crimes in Rwanda, and this gave the opportunity of the victims to actually address the aggressors and to tell them, and the aggressors were not allowed to answer, but they had to listen to the end. And the title is I'm in trouble to find the word. The honor of the victim. Now we come here to this very impressive series of photographs done by Elena from Mexico, and the series is called The Compass of the Heart. And these are refugees coming from several countries in Southern America on their way north, trying to find a better situation than they're actually coming from. And Elena met these people for a very short moment and did these photographs. And then these people actually went on their way, and nobody knows whether they actually ever arrived. This here is a book of hope. The book of hope consists of actually textile pieces, and this is from last year's exhibition, where these were all around the city wall, and people actually had a chance of writing their own slogan of what peace actually means to them. So all these statements related to peace have been put together as a book, and this is the Book of Hope. There we are. This is the Book of Hope. More works here from Anna Rose, all again under the same title, Tender Plants. And here on this wall we find the work from Atziri called Enlightenment is in You. If you go up close, if you take the right angle, you can actually see yourself in the mirror. More work by Anne-Rose. Drawings here, this time actually in 3D. And the last one is one of her latest works, where we have somebody who is actually holding hope in the form of a green balloon and begging it to take a seat and stay. Let's maybe continue here, because the series from Anne-Rose actually continues. This time in green. And we have more green, this time from Maria. And these are simply called the green. Large golden work from Gerhard called Golden Days. And now we're in for some pottery. Made by Regina. And we have a first couple down here. These two are called Night and Day. And there's two more up here. And these are Winter and Spring. And this one's simply called Hope. There's a work here by Marcy, one of our youngest members, called Chameleon, and of course the chameleon adapts in color simply to not to be seen and hopefully to catch something. Work from Regina called Cloudy Sky, and a series from Atsiri called The Healing Stones. Two bronze sculptures here by an Iraqi artist who lives in Göttingen. Try and give you more detail here. This is titled A Try. And this very impressive one here. Try and get a better background. This is called Strive for Peace. This actually originates from last year's exhibition as well. This was done by a couple of young artists from a school, a local school, and is titled Hope, as can be seen. And this is carved from a soft stone. Let's try and get this into the picture nicely. Piece of wood, very aged wood, obviously, with barbed wire around it. And this is called Without Frontiers. Up on top of this, we have a collective piece of art that was done collectively by all the members. Everyone had to paint a solitary green picture, and then later Christa assembled this into a single picture. And the title is "Hope is Green." This is actually a German saying. Now, the installation we see here was the basis of a little play we actually did when we started off the exhibition. And what you can see is a lost and found. So we'll have a lost and found with lots of lost objects. And the idea of the little sketch was that hope is actually lost by somebody, and somebody found it and brings it to the lost and found. But the person in charge of the lost and found is a very pessimistic person who is not very keen on actually having this piece of hope in his collection. He simply says that the tragedy is not that people lose hope, but that they've actually lost hope, that even if they lose it, somebody else may bring it to the lost and found, and that they can recover it. So, work here by Christiane, called Lichtblick in German, which is very hard to translate. Basically, ray of light, or view of light, and in German this is used as an expression of hope. Who do we have here? This is the phoenix, actually risen from the ashes, and the ashes actually dumped in here, and the fact that the ashes had actually burnt at some point can be seen here because the plastic container is actually burnt. It's a work by Winfried. Winfried is actually a colorblind artist, and often paints with the assistance of others so that he can actually choose the right colors. He travels a lot, and this title here is actually for the North Cape. Two very humoristic works by Christa. One, I hope nobody saw it. And if you look in detail, you find, oh, somebody actually did see it. And the second one here, hope there's enough water in the pool. Take a quick round here. Another one from Christa, hoping for paradise. And on the other side, El Niño, of course, something that can actually rob hope of people quite quickly. Another one by Winfried, called Central Park. And still missing one on the other side, or actually three more works from Winfried. One simply called Beach. Another called, I have to put in there, Refugee's Boat. Still one here, Midsummer Night. Right, we almost made it. Here, of course, we know the basis. This is a fight against windmills. And hopelessness is the title. Some reflections here on the picture, which is a pity. Somebody fly fishing, and it's called Petriheil, which I can't translate. This is something which fishermen usually say to others, hoping that they will have a good catch. Work from Regina, and this is titled Past Meets Present and Future. Swing over here. One of my works called They Will Come, and this of course in reference to the great resources going into trying to find extraterrestrial life. But what will happen if they actually do come? Will we be happy? We don't know. Some more work here from Eckhard Post. Eckhard Post, whose work of course has a lot of association with Hieronymus Bosch. This one is related to a message sent out by NASA. That's the message on the left, and the message of the right obviously was returned several years later. And Eckhard's work has a great amount of detail in it. Amazing detail, actually. One more work from Eckhard. This is the Venus from the Moon. And the association here is that obviously there are tales of a spaceship wrecked on the far side of the Moon. And here again, some fantastic detail. Work from Maria, called A Prayer. And wonderful little work from Marcy, called Comfort. And she told us that this bear, mother bear, actually is not nurturing her child, but another baby bear that got lost. Installation here by Christiane, stating, "Hope dies last." This is a German saying. And you can see that all these terms here have actually fallen. And hope died last, but what died first? And this is also a German saying, is truth. Two more little pictures from me. This is actually titled The Sperm Donor, and the association here is that in German the words for the sperm donor and liquid soap dispenser are very similar. So what we have in the middle here is actually a liquid soap dispenser. And of course both are very practical things to have, but in the case of a sperm donor, he actually becomes an anonymous ancestor, and the fact that he's an ancestor validates the frame, or makes this frame possible. This one here, titled The Last Straw. The last straw in German actually is different to the last straw in English. In German, someone will grab for the last straw as meaning the last resort. installation by Christiane titled Pandora's Box. And we want to know the story behind that. Okay, so this is another exhibit by Manfred, and it is called A Hopeful Step. If you look closely, then you can see in the middle there is something like a boot transcending the barbed wire and the fence. And this is, of course, in association with the opening of the German wall and the inter-German border. And the hopeful step is from east to west, and showing the overcoming of the border. Another exhibit here by Susanne, and this is called the difficulty of differentiating between hopeful and hopeless, and shows the character of Donald Trump, who of course symbolizes hope for many people, but symbolizes hopelessness for so many others. Two more works here by Susanne. This is called Hope Lives, and on the left here is the counterpart with the title Hope Freezes. Two more exhibits here by Maria, and this is Night and Day. Closer look at the night. And the day, and of course, sometimes when it's night we hope for day, and sometimes when it's day we hope for night. So there's a strong link to hope there. Another exhibit by Maria here, which is also called Lichtblick, so ray of light or ray of hope, if you will. And there is a last exhibit here from Christa, and it's called Melting Ice. And the last work here is Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon obviously being a place we might want to go to have a rest. But obviously very few lagoons actually are blue and are a place to rest. So it remains something elusive. So that's it. One time round, quick look around the room. Have we missed something? Yes, we have actually missed something. I don't know whether you're familiar with this, but in Germany these are very popular. You can actually put a coin in there and then you either get a sweet, or you can actually, if you're lucky, get some jewelry out of it. And many German children remember waiting and hoping that they actually get a piece of jewelry out of this. So, that's it. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed it.